Vanderbilt's Christina Fogarty is in a battle for the SEC scoring title, and tonight could become the Commodores' all-time three-point shooter as Vandy welcomes Auburn to Nashville. The Tigers' Tyrese Tanner has led Auburn to back-to-back come-from-behind wins, and this evening will be trying to snap a 14-year, 21-game losing streak to the doors. It's Auburn and Vandy. SEC women's basketball starts now on CSS. Welcome inside Memorial Gym in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the SEC on CSS as tonight the Auburn Tigers meet the 20th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. Vandy at 6-4, currently 6th in the SEC standings. Auburn at 4-6 in a three-way tie for 8th with Georgia and Alabama. And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by former Florida Gator Steffi Sorensen. And Steffi, the Vanderbilt Commodores coming off their worst loss of the season 3 nights ago, and they were beaten badly at Tennessee. And now they face an Auburn team they've won 21 consecutive games against, but this should be a very difficult game for them tonight.
Well, head coach of Vanderbilt, Melanie Malcolm, said that they essentially got embarrassed Monday night against Tennessee, and so they have the opportunity tonight where they could take it out on Auburn. But Auburn has hung tough with some good teams in the SEC so far, but just had no success against Vanderbilt.
Vandy got 22 from Christina Fogarty against Tennessee, but the Lady Vols did a really good job of shutting down Jasmine Lister.
Well, they completely took her out of the basketball game. She only took 9 shots, and so she's a player that has to get her shot off. She's got to find ways to get involved in the offense when she's being denied like she was at Tennessee.
Meantime, Auburn's Tyrese Tanner coming off her 4th career double-double in their victory over Mississippi State on Sunday. She has really emerged as a big-time senior leader.
One thing about her is consistency, and she's really been that for this Auburn team, and they go as she goes. If she has a good game, Auburn has a good game.
It's the Auburn Tigers and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Christina Fogarty can become Vandy's all-time three-point shooter tonight as they go up against the Auburn Tigers. Opening tip is coming up next. SEC women's basketball on CSS is brought to you by Geico. Saving people money on more than just car insurance. Go to geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO for a free quote. See how much you could save. Back at Memorial Gym as we take a look at the starting lineups for the Auburn Tigers at 13-10 overall and 4-6 in the ACC. Muhammad, the All-SEC second-teamer in the preseason, has been plagued by injury this season, hoping to get healthy as we head into the final month of the campaign. The freshman Montgomery joined by Parker, Tanner, Tyrese, and Tracy, the third sister combination to play at Auburn in program history. Vanderbilt at 17-6 overall, 6-4 in the SEC, with Beatty and Schran in the backcourt, joined by Fogarty, Lister, and Webb. Terry Williams-Flournoy, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, in her second season. 32-25 her record, her 10th season overall after 8 very successful seasons at Georgetown, leading the Hoyas to 3 straight NCAA tournaments, including the 2011 Sweet 16. And Melanie Balcom, in her 12th season, she has never lost a game to the Auburn Tigers. 276 and 112. She is the winningest coach in Vanderbilt history. Her 20th season overall with 439 victories. Only Andy Landers and Gary Blair have more coaching victories than she does among Southeastern Conference coaches.
And Coach Balcom, what makes her special, she recruits tailored to how she coaches and her schemes offensively and defensively. And she doesn't always have the biggest kids or maybe the McDonald's All-Americans, but her formula for success, it definitely works.
They basically have played with a four-guard lineup all season long. As you see, this is the 45th all-time meeting between these two teams. And Vanderbilt leads 28-16, 13-5 here in Nashville. But, of course, they have dominated it since 2000. The last meeting won last month by Vanderbilt at the Auburn Arena. The last Vanderbilt victory, or rather Auburn victory in this series, came back in 2000 when the legendary Joe Ciampi was manning the sideline for the Auburn Tigers.
This is a Vanderbilt team that, coming off that loss, I mentioned the word embarrassed, but they were also humbled. I mean, they went against a tough Tennessee team. They had already beaten them. They did not play well, and I think that, there's going to be some effort and some fight from the Commodores tonight.
Meantime, the Auburn Tigers, of course, in the blue, start this game on offense. They've won 2 in a row, including a 51-43 victory against Mississippi State on Sunday, and Tracy Tanner starts the scoring for the Tigers.
And Vanderbilt started the game in zone, and just an interesting call by Vanderbilt to see how they're going to stop that inside scoring, which really hurt them against Tennessee.
Schran bounces into Beatty, and Muhammad the rebound. And up the floor comes Parker. Tyrese Tanner. Tiani Parker got the rebound, goes up over Lister, and the rebound controlled by Beatty, who clears it to Lister.
And Lister's going to see some tough matchups because she's shorter at the point guard position. And so against Tennessee, Jasmine Jones, a much taller guard against her. So on that last possession, a good box out by Lister.
Beatty saves it to Fogarty. Long rebound to Parker. Auburn playing much better as of late. We mentioned the 2-game winning streak. Well, it followed a 4-game losing streak, and a streak in which they had lost 7 of their previous 9. Tyrese Tanner, her second shot. Auburn has a 4-0 lead.
It's no coincidence they have that lead, because when she hits shots early on, that gives them confidence, gives her self-confidence. And Coach Flo, I'm on the record that I'm allowed to call her that, but she likes the way she's playing right now. Tanner's doing a good job.
Well, I'll tell you what, it has taken her, and they're still not there yet, but in their second season getting closer to being the type of ball club that she wants to be. She's full court, press type the entire game. Really a pressure defense. They will try to fluster you on offense by making you bring the ball up the floor and defend you every step of the way. 4 on the shot clock. Lister and Parker brings the ball up the floor for Auburn. Lead pass to Montgomery, and a 6-0 lead for Auburn.
And not a good start for Vanderbilt, but Auburn, you're doing what you want to do, get defensive stops, get out in transition. That's their game. That's what Coach Flo wants them to do, and it starts with steals as well.
Auburn, the top ball-stealing team in the conference. Tyrese Tanner got the steal that time, converts it into points, and an 8-0 lead for Auburn here in the opening 2.5 minutes.
Coach Flo has to be happy with the active hands by Auburn so far in this first half, getting out in transition, scoring the basketball, and flustering the Vanderbilt Commodores, who are already coming off a bad loss, in which Coach Balcom said that team against Tennessee didn't show any intensity. They didn't match Tennessee's intensity.
Coach Balcom said she was not concerned about the quick turnaround mentally or physically for her team, although it was just 3 nights ago. It was a Monday night game, a late game, so they did not get back until the early hours of Tuesday morning. But she felt like they would be okay because they've already played Auburn once this season, really only needed 1 day of prep. But Auburn has come out very inspired, much like Tennessee. Tennessee hit Vanderbilt hard with great intensity, and as you mentioned, Balcom felt like they didn't match the intensity. They haven't matched Auburn's intensity here in the opening 2 minutes. Nearly another steal.
And in the SEC, if you don't show up on any given night, you will get beat.
Beatty drives, kicks to the corner. Lister puts it on the floor, and an arm bar called on Montgomery, the freshman. Brandy Montgomery, number 10, the freshman, called for the foul. She leads this team in minutes, close to 29 a game.
So far, Vanderbilt really just haven't been able to establish anything offensively, get into a rhythm, but I do like when Jasmine Lister has the ball, she's trying to facilitate some offense because other players besides her and Fogarty have to score the basketball. They have to shoot the basketball.
Off the inbound, shot was blocked twice by Tracy Tanner. Knocked out of bounds, it'll be Vanderbilt's ball. Good inbounds defense by Auburn right there.
And Webb really she's coming off a big game, 12 points against Tennessee. Took advantage of them in the paint. She's a big body and somebody they need inside.
Fogarty, that's her second three-point miss. That time Webb is there for the offensive rebound and the put-in.
Vanderbilt now in a man-to-man defense. Right on the catch. They're there right exactly when the pass is made. They want to make sure that no easy looks for Auburn tonight.
Webb the rebound after the Parker miss, and Jenkins brings it up the floor for Vanderbilt. Lister was fouled on the play. Second team foul here on the Auburn Tigers. That foul will be on Tyrese Tanner.
And that just to get the basketball on that last possession. Jasmine Lister essentially has to box out her defender to get the ball, but on that ball screen now, people are starting to switch to stop her penetration.
And Jasmine Jenkins got fouled on her shot attempt. That foul will be on Tracy Tanner. So 3 team fouls now on Auburn. That'll put Jasmine Jenkins at the line. A sophomore guard out of Gainesville, Georgia in the Atlanta area, averaging 6 a game and an 84% free throw shooter. Peyton Davis checks in, and Tracy Tanner goes to the bench. They will play a lot of players. Their style dictates that they have to play a lot of players.
And they only lost to Kentucky by 2 points, and Kentucky's a team that likes to run and gun and press and trap, and so that's kind of how Auburn plays. They want to speed you up. That's the style of play that they need the bodies. Right now, they're just a young team where there's a little bit of a drop-off when that second group of players comes in, and Coach Flo knows that. It's just a matter of time for them to grasp her defensive concepts.
They have 8 newcomers, 6 freshmen, and 2 transfers. Lister the rebound. And a turnover on the Commodores. Messina Muhammad checks back into the ballgame. Muhammad is averaging about 4 points per game less than she did a year ago. Preseason, All-SEC second team. She's been bothered by a back injury, but they have been unable to find the origin of that back injury. She's missed about 6 games.
Yeah, her production is down, but you have to think about that injury, especially the back. In so many different ways you're moving on the basketball court, it affects it, and you see glimpses of why she was the preseason All-SEC.
That was Peyton Davis with a nice low post move as Auburn has a 6-point lead. The foul is going to be called on Auburn, and Tracy Tanner just picked up her second. Tyrese Tanner, pardon me, just picked up her second, so that's something they don't want to see. The Tanners have already met their presence felt here early as the Auburn Tigers lead by 6. Okay.
Thank you.
Auburn with a 6-point lead on Vanderbilt 4 minutes in here at Memorial Gym. Bad sign for Auburn in that Tyrese, that's the second time I've done that. She's the older sister.
Tricky names, though. Yeah. Tricky names.
Tyrese has picked up her second personal foul. She has fouled out of 6 games this season. They've got to have her on the floor as much as possible here tonight.
Like I said, they go as she goes. When she's on the bench, there could be a drop-off, and that's when Vanderbilt has to sense that and has to take advantage.
Down to 4 on the shot clock. They bounce into the post. Bovee beat the shot clock, but the rebound by Peyton Davis. Auburn has started 5 of 8 from the floor. Vandy 1 of 10. Foul's going to be called, I believe, on Vanderbilt. Nope, foul's going to go instead against Auburn, and Peyton Davis, that'll be the first on her, and that'll be team foul number 5.
You have to credit Vanderbilt being able to box out. Just a big emphasis for them defensively that know they're undersized. They've got to clear the bodies out of the paint. And Auburn's just going over the back on some of these offensive rebounds.
Auburn is the number 1 offensive rebounding team in conference play, getting 16 a game. Vanderbilt just really has not found any kind of rhythm on offense so far.
Just turnovers. I think that's their 3rd turnover already in this first half. And Jasmine Lister, you can see the frustration on her face because as Fogarty comes back in, there's just been no rhythm. They're not running their sets right. They're just out of sync.
They're a really good offensive team. They're 4th in the conference in scoring, 3rd in field goal percentage, number 1 in three-point shooting percentage, and number 1 free throw shooting team. But so far here tonight, they've just been really disjointed on the offensive end. They have lost 3 of their last 4 following a 4-game winning streak and a streak in which they had won 13 of their previous 14. So going through their toughest portion of the season thus far.
And certainly at this point, mid-February, you can't afford to take a team like Auburn, who is rather deep in the SEC record-wise, lightly.
Kylie Smith with that basket. Peyton Davis got stripped on the other end. Ahead to Lister. Bodies go crashing to the floor. We'll have a foul called on Auburn, and that'll be number 6 on them. And we are just 6.5 minutes in.
I think if you're having trouble offensively, it starts with good defense. Start playing better defense. Get some up-tempo plays in transition. Lister goes to the rim, draws the contact, but that's what they need more of. If you can't get a rhythm on offense, turn up the heat on defense, and you'll see what happens.
Lister's second free throw. And Lister had missed only 1 free throw in SEC play until that one right there.
Did you call that? Did you jinx her?
Missed 2 in a row. She had been 33 of 34 up until then. Diang is called for the foul. 17 fouls now on Auburn and 0 on Vanderbilt.
I'm going to talk to Coach Flo about some of the games that she's lost. What's been the biggest reason? She said it's different. Each and every time they play, it's not like they're doing the same things over and over again. They fix something and it's another thing. And foul trouble has been an issue, though, that's plagued them all season long.
Jenkins with the layup. So Vanderbilt, after their very difficult start, slowly climbing back into the ballgame. The foul trouble is also going to be very problematic for Auburn because Vandy's the #1 free throw shooting team in the conference. They're going to be on the line for the rest of the half.
And that was the story of the first time these two teams met, is that they just fouled Vandy and put them at the free throw line. And Vanderbilt's a team that's going to capitalize on those easy points.
Diang in the corner buries the three-pointer. Auburn is the 14th best or the worst three-point shooting team in the conference.
I like your optimistic.
Yeah, they only hit 2.8 a game, but they got one right there. Furking ends up with the ball for the Auburn Tigers, brings it across. That's 4 turnovers now in the Commodores. These two teams are 13th and 14th in the conference in turning the ball over, so we might see a few of those tonight.
For Auburn, it's definitely the fact that they lack a true point guard, which is really the most important position in college basketball. And when you don't have one, you're going to have some ill-advised turnovers.
And another foul. It was called on Auburn. 13-8, Tigers lead.
I got it.
Yeah, I won't be reading that verbatim. That's horribly written promo. I got it, though. Don't worry.
He's the mayor.
I mean, how can you write a promo? You want more men's basketball? What a stupid. I mean, that's just stupidly. That's just poorly written. I did not write that. That is poorly written. I mean, can't you say something about the teams? Promote the game. Auburn has led from the get-go and still leads by 5 here, 8 minutes in at Memorial Gym. Conference USA basketball coming up immediately following the conclusion of this one here as the Southern Miss Golden Eagles play at UAB. Donnie Tyndall's team battling for the top spot in Conference USA at 21-3. Great start. That's coming up next at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central on CSS.
There's been some terrific stories in men's basketball this year, including the Vanderbilt men's basketball team. I know you've called some of their games. Just a great story for them and rattling off some wins that no one really thought they could do.
Yeah, Kevin Stallings has done a tremendous job with very little. I mean, they've had to take guys, managers, and put them on the practice squad just so they could, fill out practice. It's been a great story, no doubt about it. Lister knocks down the three-pointer. First three-pointer for Vandy tonight. They're back to within 2.
And Vanderbilt becomes that much more dangerous when Lister is that outside threat besides Fogarty.
And we have our first foul called on Vanderbilt.
And defending Vanderbilt's so difficult because they set screens, they occupy their defenders. Lister, they are on the perimeter just kind of wide open because they've got so much action away from the basketball. It draws defenders away from Jasmine.
Peyton Davis banging bodies with Webb, missed the layup. Let it roll off the rim, and Vandy comes down the floor, a chance to tie or take the lead. Lister scoops it up and in, game tied at 13. Now Vandy's starting to resemble more of the team that we've grown accustomed to seeing, and timeout has been called by Auburn.
Just took them a few minutes to get adjusted, and here Jasmine Lister, she saw on the first possession, on that last possession with the three-pointer, but then goes right at the rim. And I think when she shows that versatility, that's what makes her really good and a reason why she's one of the best players in the SEC.
Lister, the number 8 scorer in the conference at 15 points per game, number 7 in assists at 4.7 assists per game, and she leads the conference in minutes. 36 minutes. She most recently became the all-time minutes leader in Vanderbilt history. She's making her 123rd consecutive start tonight.
And I mentioned the point guard position being one of the most important in college basketball, and so she's sometimes denying the point guard all the way up in the backcourt, and she's denying him, and she's just the defensive intensity that she brings on every single possession and the minutes that she plays. It just speaks volumes how much effort she puts in night in on these SEC games.
Vandy on a 9-3 run. Auburn 2 of 7 shooting after starting the game 4 for 5. 8 on the shot clock. Ball knocked out of bounds by Lister.
And just a classic case right there, and that's not something that shows up on the stat sheet, but the way she denies the basketball, there's no easy passes against her. So whoever matches up against her, it's not going to be a fun day.
Auburn has 6 on the shot clock as they put the ball in play. Muhammad just did beat the shot clock, and the rebound by Jenkins. Ahead to Lister, and she's able to save it. To Smith, pass deflected into the hands of Muhammad. Ahead to Montgomery. Montgomery with the layup. Brandy Montgomery with her second basket of the ball game. Both of them layups, and Auburn takes the lead.
The freshman's been a bright spot for the Tigers, playing some big minutes and against good teams. I think it's just everyone goes through those struggles as a freshman, the ups and downs, especially when you're in the SEC, playing against some of the best of the best.
So Montgomery picks up her second personal foul. So make that 3 Auburn players now have 2 personal fouls, Montgomery and the 2 Tanners.
And Matt, they'll play 11 people, so they have bodies, but it's just a matter of who's out on the court at one time.
It's which bodies you have on the floor that's going to make the difference in the end, and you need to have Tyrese and Tanner out on the floor as much as possible as Kylie Smith hits the free throw. Smith is her free throw shooting story this season is pretty amazing. In the first 7 games of the season, she missed 11 of 12. With the 2 she just made there, she has hit 36 of her last 40.
Wow.
Talk about a turnaround.
That's some dedication. I have a feeling she got into the gym, she just started shooting more and more, and free throws really is about repetition and confidence. Anytime you're missing that many, you just don't step up there confidently. I'm sure as she got on the roll, and she started hitting those free throws like they're nothing.
Obviously, she's a very good free throw shooter because she's shooting 90% over the last 17 games. It's astounding to me that she could have been that bad when she's really that good.
I'll tell you what, Matt, here's a secret. I was a terrible free throw shooter, and I just think sometimes you just have to put your mind to it, and even if you're a good shooter, sometimes the free throw line's just not your friend. And she made it her friend, and you just have to give props to her for dedicating some extra time to the free throw line. I'm not proud of that either, okay?
Muhammad the miss, and Webb the rebound for Vanderbilt. Commodores looking to take their first lead of the game. They bounce it into Smith, and Smith was fouled on the play, and Kylie Smith, who you obviously don't want to put on the line, will be going back to the line. Berkey picks up her second. So now there are 4 Auburn players with 2 personal fouls. And Vandy is in the bonus plus 11 minutes into the game.
And for Smith, I mean, she didn't take a single field goal attempt against Tennessee. So that's a good sign for Vanderbilt that other players are stepping up to the plate, because looking at the numbers from that game, they only shot the basketball 19. They only made 19 shots compared to Tennessee making 32. So, I mean, more players have to step up and shoot the basketball besides Fogarty and Lister.
Kylie Smith gets 1. She hit 3 in a row. Gives Vanderbilt their first lead of the game at 16-15. Pretty much as you take a look back at that Tennessee loss on Monday night, nobody outside of Christina Fogarty really did anything offensively for Vanderbilt. Capers the miss, and here come the Commodores.
And Coach Balcom, I'm sure, addressed that after watching film. They had the next day off, but I'm sure they got right back into it. You see it on film, and sometimes you see yourself, oh, there's a shot I could take, as we see Smith with the head fake. There's opportunities for them to score, they just were not taking them.
The Lady Vols kind of took the approach, we're going to let Fogarty get hers, we're going to shut down Lister and dare somebody else from Vanderbilt to step up and become a scorer, and nobody did. Inside to Davis. Nice post move by Peyton Davis. Perhaps one of the most improved players in the Southeastern Conference over the last couple of years. Very functional player off the bench for Coach Flo's team this season.
Yeah, she's that first bench player that comes off for Auburn, and she brings that instant offense. And she's improved dramatically. I think that teams have to prepare for her because she's a big body. You can't just go in there and try to play behind her. She can make you pay with her post moves.
8 on the shot clock for the Commodores. Lister got stripped by Parker. Parker, and that's going to be an offensive foul on Kiani Parker. Very good open court defense by the veteran Christina Fogarty to get the charge call against Parker. On the offensive end, Peyton Davis with the basket off the glass. That's why Auburn leads by 1. Okay, good. Like it. Yep, I got it. That's good. Two of the SEC's top 4 scorers in action here tonight. Christina Fogarty for Vanderbilt at 18.9 in a neck-and-neck battle with Bree Kulis of Missouri for the scoring lead. And Tyrese Tanner, the number 4 scorer in the conference, at 16.2. Ironically, Fogarty is yet to score here tonight. She's 0 for 2 from the floor and 0 for 2 from the line.
Tyrese Tanner had a SEC career-high 28 against Kentucky, but the biggest difference in that game, she played 39 minutes. So with her being on the bench, she can't produce what she needs to for this Auburn team.
Meantime, Commodores have hit 4 of their last 6 shots after starting 1 of 9 from the floor. Down to 6 on the shot clock. Beatty got stripped. Tucker now running the point for the Auburn Tigers. They have 3 different players that run the point, and Coach Flo says whoever's playing the best is the person who's going to get the minutes that night.
And that's frustrating for her. And I know she said that confidently. At the same time, you could sense that she wants one person to step up, be that point guard.
Montgomery with the 3-pointer. 4-point lead again for Auburn.
We have 8 newcomers trying to learn a new system. It's hard to walk in there and just run a program from the point guard position when you don't really know how the coach wants things run.
Shot fake by Lister at the drive, and the bounce pass to Beatty. Nicely executed by Lister. She made all that happen.
She passed up a shot, and she had Fogarty in the corner, but a higher percentage shot, though, driving into the lane. And that's what makes Jasmine Lister an effective point guard, is that she knows that certain shots are favorable over others. An outside shot, Fogarty not hitting right now, or an inside shot for your post player. Smart play for her.
Away from the ball, Peyton Davis was called for the foul. That's her second. 5 Auburn Tigers now, Steffi, with 2 personal fouls. You're asking for trouble when you get into foul trouble against this Vanderbilt team, because they will kill you at the foul line.
At the same time, it's still a 2-point game. When you've got that many players in foul trouble, Vanderbilt hasn't taken advantage.
Lister way off the mark. Tucker down on the floor to try to save it. Ball pinballs around, and finally the Tigers come away with it.
Solid effort right now from both teams, getting after it defensively. The loose balls kind of falling in Auburn's favor. I know the foul troubles plagued them, but they've come up with some loose balls so far in this first half.
They feed it inside for Davis. She was out of position, bounces out to Montgomery. And a foul is going to be called on Vanderbilt. This one will be on Jenkins, and just the 3rd team foul on Vanderbilt here, 15 minutes into the ballgame.
Montgomery, the freshman, I think she's going to be a pretty special player. You can see right now she can score in a different variety of ways. I think it's just going to be her confidence, how long it takes her to get into the game and score and everything, and it's going to take time. She's only a freshman. And
Coach Flo says her biggest problem right now is she just plays too fast, and that's why she leads the team in turnovers.
And that's just a freshman. They haven't adjusted to the speed of the game. When you're in high school, things, you're the best player on the team. When you come into this league, everyone was the best player on their team.
Coach Flo also says the one thing that Montgomery has already learned is that her defensive effort is what's going to keep her on the floor.
Yeah, you're never going to get pulled out by a coach if you're playing too good of defense. I'm going to take you out right now because you're playing too good of defense.
You're playing too hard. So Auburn drops out of their full court pressure as Vandy walks it up the floor, but they nearly come up with the steal as soon as Jenkins gets it into the front court. Auburn, as you watch them defensively, they do a really good job of pushing Vandy out, extending that defense. Back to Muhammad with a layup, and Montgomery, a nice feed and a foul on Vanderbilt on top of that.
It started with good defense and getting out in transition. Auburn again, nice give and go. Muhammad, as we see here, even she's injured, takes the hit, finishes the shot, but you're right, that 2-3 zone is giving Vanderbilt some issues. They're long, they're lengthy, passing angles just aren't favorable for Vanderbilt right now, and that's an adjustment that they have to make.
Muhammad, a 58% free throw shooter, 63% in the conference, completes the three-point play. Auburn up 5, and the Tigers have now scored 12 points off of 8 Vandy turnovers.
And they went from a 2-3 now to a 1-3-1, so they're switching it up by possession. It's not like they're sitting back in a 2-3 zone, but they're switching things up.
Webb inside, got in deep but missed the shot. Schran kept it alive underneath. Lister weaving through the defense, and double dribble is the call. You talked about them switching up defenses, going from a 2-3 to a 1-3-1, and Coach Flo says that's another one of the challenges that she's faced with 6 freshmen on the squad. A year ago, they were used to learning one play and one defense, and now they've got to learn multiple plays, multiple defenses.
Well, and just to be able to have the mental capacity to change defenses, maybe within a possession, go from 1-3-1 into a 2-3. So I think she's had to simplify things, but at the same time, she's not going to change the way she coaches for youth. She just has to be patient.
Montgomery off back iron. Birking keeps it alive for Auburn, and we'll have a foul called on Vanderbilt, and this one will be against Beatty. Number 1 on Beatty, and the 5th team foul on Vanderbilt. And a timeout with 3 minutes and 37 seconds left here in the first half. The Auburn Tigers still in the lead by 5 on Vandy. Then I'll go into my story about that. Auburn averages an SEC leading 10 steals per game. They already have 6 here in the first half and lead the Vanderbilt Commodores by 5.
They've done a great job of getting out in the open territory and get easy points against Vanderbilt. And I think that really you have to give credit to Coach Flo, because coming into this game, she actually sat her team down and she brought out some old Georgetown footage of when she was a coach there and from when her team went to the Sweet 16, and they watched how that defense was. And already now you can see 6 steals, but just what it takes to play at such a high level. I think that was an interesting move on her part to bring that back.
Commodores have been susceptible to the turnover. They average 17 a game, which is 13th in the conference. Muhammad blew the layup. Ball scrambles loose. Auburn keeps it alive, and Peyton Davis banks it in. 6 points for Davis. Vandy has turned the ball meantime 4 times in the last 6 possessions. Make that 5 out of 7. Muhammad gets it back, and Auburn turns it over. They blew it up. Fast break opportunity right there.
Vanderbilt really got lucky on that last possession. If you're Fogey, that's just an unacceptable turnover on your part. You've had a great season, and right now, coming off a good game against Tennessee, those are just errors that you can't have.
Fogy committed 4 turnovers against the Lady Vols, and she has 4 more here tonight in the first half. Very uncharacteristic of her. Foul's going to be called on Muhammad. That's going to be number 1 on her.
Fortunately for Auburn, the All-SEC coming into this season hasn't had foul trouble, but again, you wonder what the back, minutes-wise, she's really averaging around mid-20s. But with her teammates on the bench, she might have to step up and play some minutes here tonight.
Wow, Fogy now 0 for 3. She's 0 for 2 from the floor, now 0 for 1 from the free throw line. So she's missed all 3 of her shots, even the easy ones.
Keep in mind, she was 5 of 10 her last game from the three-point line. So sometimes, though, as a shooter, when you're that hot coming into the next game, it's hard to duplicate that kind of shooting.
She finally gets in the scoring column, averaging 18.9 a game. We showed you she's tied average-wise with Bree Koulis, but Bree Koulis actually has more points than she does, but it's also played more games. Six-point lead for Auburn. They've led by as much as 8 in this game. Furkey off the iron. Smith the rebound for Vanderbilt. Webb inside, overshoots the hoop. Webb is now 1 of 6 from the floor. Ahead it comes to Capers. Montgomery on the baseline. Montgomery has hit 4 shots. She has 9 points.
But you can see the second they get that defensive rebound, they're going. They're looking to push the tempo, and Vanderbilt has to get back. If that means offensive rebound is out the window, you bring 2 back.
It would be interesting to see what percentage of points Auburn has scored tonight against Vandy's set defense and how much has come in transition. I'm guessing the majority of the points, just watching, not any statistical data,
right.
The majority of the points have come in transition, I think. Eight on the shot clock. Webb inside gets the layup.
That's a back killer if you're Auburn. You played good defense for about 28 seconds, and on that last play, giving up an easy 2.
Gambled on the steal. Fogy was ahead of the pack, and they didn't see her. She had a layup if they could have gotten her the ball. Lister.
Forced shot by Lister.
Montgomery ahead of the pack and gets the layup. Montgomery, the first player in double figures here tonight. She has 11, which is her per-game average. She's the number 5 scoring freshman in the SEC.
And when I asked Coach Flo, who's the most important player, she said, "You want me to pick one?" It differs every single game, and right now Montgomery playing some quality minutes and putting in good production for the Tigers.
11 turnovers now for the Commodores. Really enjoyed our conversation with Coach Williams-Flournoy. Just a real fun coach to talk to. She's really passionate and intense. Not to say that Melanie isn't, but of course they both are, but very different personalities.
She spent some time under Coach Landers at UGA, so he's very entertaining. Has great defensive principles, so she's learned a lot along the way, and a big reason why she's had success is she's trying to bring that here to the SEC as a head coach.
Bounce pass into Capers, and she missed the layup. Shot clock off. Lister really being given a hard time there at half court. Now down to 7 on the half court clock. Lister had it stolen away by Parker. And Parker at the buzzer. And that is the end of the first half. How appropriate that the Auburn Tigers got yet another steal right at the end of the first half.
And a disappointing first half for Vanderbilt, just not rising to the occasion, and Auburn sensing that and taking advantage of it.
8 steals for the Auburn Tigers in the first 20 minutes. And they will take an 8-point lead to the locker room as they try to snap a 21-game losing streak dating back 14 seasons to Vanderbilt. We're halfway there. News and notes coming up when we get back. Welcome back. It is halftime at Memorial Gym. You're watching the SEC on Welcome back. It is halftime at Memorial Gym. You're watching the SEC on CSS. Time now to check out SEC news and notes. And Steffi, let's start with some legends for Vanderbilt and Auburn. Kelly Doherty-Stallworth, the Vanderbilt legend for 2014. She played for head coach Jim Foster back in the early to mid-90s and was the Vandy Coaches Award winner. And how about our partner, Joe Ciampi? I always call him legendary Coach Joe Ciampi. Well, he really is. SEC legendary Coach Joe Ciampi. What an accomplishment. 607 wins, 7 Sweet 16s, and 3-time NCAA runner-up.
And well-deserved. I mean, we were just talking about him and the defensive mindset that he's had and some of the foundations that he's laid for some of his assistant coaches. And I think, what a great honor for him to be a legend in the SEC.
SEC coaches in this league still talk with reverence about Joe Ciampi when we start talking defense. And the SEC women's basketball tournament, hard to imagine, but Steffi, it's less than a month away at the Gwinnett Center in Duluth, Georgia. And who do you like right now? South Carolina is the number one team in the conference right now.
South Carolina's rolling. I think Tennessee's peaking at the right time, but everyone's vying right now to get that fourth bye. Right now 1 through 3 is set with Texas A&M and Tennessee and South Carolina, but it's that fourth spot that's up for grabs. So I think the rest of these games are going to be pivotal for all the teams.
Yeah, that is so important because you get a double bye. You don't have to play on Wednesday or Thursday. You don't play until Friday, meaning you only have to win 3 games to win the SEC championship. Let's check out our SEC co-players of the week. How about Kayla Lewis of the Florida Gators and Alicia Welch of the South Carolina Gamecocks?
Well, I think Kayla Lewis stepping up big for the Gators with a double-double and really a good sign for them. Jatera Bonds has really led them most of the season, so for Amanda Butler, it's a relief for somebody else to step up and carry that team.
I tell you what, Amanda Butler's done a superb job with a very short bench, limited roster. Going to be hard to beat out Dawn Staley for SEC Coach of the Year, but I think Amanda Butler probably deserves some consideration.
Well, I mean, just looking at her roster, and she knew going into this season that she was only going to have 10 players, and that slowly got shorter and shorter, and for them to even be in this hunt kind of speaks volumes to what a good coach she is.
And Alicia Welch has led a very powerful Gamecocks team that just continues to roll through this conference. Best season maybe that South Carolina has ever had. SEC Freshman of the Week, Regine Moncrief of the LSU Tigers. We saw her earlier in the season really struggle at Tennessee, but that's one of the rarities. She has struggled very little this season.
Well, I think she really relies on her defense. As you can see, she's the SEC freshman steals leader with 52. But really, LSU is a team that you have to also keep an eye out with. Regine Moncrief putting up numbers that she is and them playing as tough as defense when it comes down to the later stretches of February and March. That's something that you don't want to go against.
SEC women's basketball continues here on CSS next Thursday night. Steffi and I will be on Rocky Top as the Tennessee Lady Vols will welcome in these Auburn Tigers. And you can see it next Thursday night at 7 Eastern right here on CSS. It's halftime here in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll come back and update you on the SEC scoreboard when we get back. Welcome back. It is halftime at Memorial Gym where the Auburn Tigers lead the 20th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores 29-21. Steffi Sorensen and Matt Stewart with you. And Steffi, very impressive first half for Auburn defensively, forced 8 steals, 12 Vanderbilt turnovers that led to 14 Tigers points.
I was surprised the way that Vanderbilt came out. I was expecting them to have energy, more fight, but they were careless with the ball. They didn't value each possession, and turnovers were the biggest problem for them in the first half and something that they have to adjust coming out of the break.
Vanderbilt definitely in their toughest portion of the schedule, at least from their performance standpoint. They've lost 3 of their last 4, did not play well at Tennessee, did not start this game well. Christina Fogarty has been a non-factor in this game, and Jasmine Lister's committed more turnovers than typically she does.
Well, those two, those are really they're star players and really in the SEC. And so if they're both having bad games, who's going to be that third person, I think, is the big question for Melanie Belcom, and I think she's going to have to find out if they both can't get it together in the second half.
Let's check out the SEC scoreboard. Only one game in progress right now, and that is late in the first half. Kentucky leading Ole Miss 42-36. Tia Falleru, who's the leading rebounder in the conference, with 13 points and 6 rebounds. Valencia McFarland has 10 points for the Rebels, and Denisha Stallworth has 10 points and 6 rebounds for the Wildcats.
I think Kentucky's just been an interesting story this year. I don't think it's a team that, come March you want to play, but right now, a big disappointment for Matthew Mitchell.
Wildcats are 5-5 in the conference heading into tonight's game against Ole Miss. Alabama to Arkansas is getting ready to start right now. Christy Curry has done a wonderful job with that Alabama program in her first year of the Crimson Tide, 4-6.
I think that's going to be an interesting game because Arkansas as well started off really hot and then kind of slowed down when SEC play. So those are two teams kind of vying again to get back in that hunt for the SEC tournament.
And Georgia at Texas A&M had a chance to visit with Gary Blair briefly yesterday. I was in College Station for the Texas A&M victory over the LSU men last night. Gary Blair was very worried about this contest, but the Aggies beat Georgia by 14 at Stegman Coliseum earlier this season.
Well, I think as we're seeing tonight is the second time around you watch some film, you learn what a team does good and what they don't and what you did wrong in that game.